Now, the section of dazzling Kent images which has been plastered all across London transport and all over the internet for the past week has really caused a stir. It's inviting visitors and commuters to spend more leisure time in the Garden of England this summer. Visit Kent's marketing director, Jennifer Yard, is part of the campaign. She's on the line to us now. Jennifer, good morning.
Good morning, Pat. How are you doing?
Very good. Yeah, nice to talk to you. So just give us an insight. What were the locations used that various bored commuters stared dreamily at whilst avoiding eye contact with fellow passengers?
So we have targeted our London audience, basically. So you can see these posters across the underground stations as well as overground. And so that's the sort of the big printed posters. We also have some fantastic big digital screens at Victoria Station. So obviously a really heavily used station, and you can see the posters there between the morning commuter hours. So really capturing a fantastic audience there as well.
Yes, I've seen them. And if you come from Kent, it actually makes you feel really proud. There is an emotional connection, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we in Kent should be really proud. There's some absolutely fantastic attractions and destinations in Kent. And we want to share that with all of the people in London and encourage them to come down to Kent and see it for themselves, really.
So how important is the digital aspect of this campaign? We mentioned the posters on tube trains and stations and the rest, but digitally, how much impact will that have?
Huge and increasing. So we have really made a big deal of the digital advertising this year. It's an important part of how we communicate with our audiences now, and it works really well hand in hand with things on the underground. So people see a poster, but then when they're online or using social media, they will also see our adverts there. So we've got digital adverts across a number of websites, including TripAdvisor, Transport for London, and National Rails. So that's sort of trying to capture people when they're thinking about the prospect of travelling. And so we can serve up the ads then to encourage them to make the decision to come and visit Kent.
And I guess London is still one of the biggest tourist markets for the county, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, we're really lucky in terms of location that London is right on our doorstep, and the transport links are so direct. And we have a high-speed train from St Pancras, which means you can get to loads of different areas within Kent really quickly. So, yes, and London, obviously, with such a huge population, is really vital for our economy.
It's a pretty sunny start to the weekend, but, we have had some poor weather so far this summer. Has tourism across the county been affected by the weather?
It has a bit, yes. I mean, the summer, I think, is yet to sort of fully arrive for all of the UK. But I think we have such a fantastic array of different types of attractions within Kent that they're not all solely sort of weather dependent. So I think there's lots to see even on a rainy day. And as we know, the beaches and the coastline have its own, special charm during those sorts of those days as well, not just the sunny days. So I think we are hoping that we'll see a bit more sunny weather and that will bring with it, more visitors and sort of a more thriving visitor economy through that.
And finally, the weekend has just begun. Give us a kind of 2-day itinerary for somebody who's never visited the county of Kent before. Where would you recommend over the weekend?
Absolutely. Well, I think there's so many options, and I think that's one of the things that we're really trying to get across is that there is so much to do. I mean, you could certainly head down to Margate and visit Dreamland and take in some fantastic art at Turner Contemporary. We've also got some really great castles, so, Dover Castle and the White Cliffs of Dover. Hever Castle, of course, absolutely fantastic. And then we've got, fantastic city in Canterbury as well, with all of the things to see and do there. And not to forget, of course, the historic dockyards in Chatham. They've just opened a fantastic new visitor centre and exhibition there. And lots of different things to see and do at the dockyards as well. So I think there's something for everyone, really.
Absolutely, and it's right across the county. Thank you. Jennifer Yard from Visit Kent there. Their poster campaign, as you heard, is across London Underground and Overground network now, and you can see some of those posters on the BBC Radio Kent Facebook page and on Twitter as well.
Kent and Essex have been awarded a major government grant to attract more tourists to the counties. Tourism teams have been working together to promote areas, gardens and food producers in a new scheme called Gardens and Gourmets. And one person who's delighted by this is Sandra Matthews-Marsh from Visit Kent, who joins me now. We can see the magnificent cathedral behind you attracting visitors. Isn't that an easy job on days like this?
Well, the weather certainly helps on a fabulous day like this. It's just the day to be here at Canterbury Cathedral. But this money is really important because it will help us tell the story of our fabulous destinations much more strongly in international markets. And why not? Kent, the Garden of England, is famous worldwide for its food and drink and great gardens. So this is a great day.
So how much money are you being awarded and what will you do with it?
Well, the Visit England, Visit Britain, Discover England Fund has awarded us £240,000 to market our wonderful destinations in overseas markets and bring together the great places and the great gardens, the great food and drink offer. We have wonderful beer and wine and great eateries, along with our wonderful gardens like Sissinghurst and Penshurst, Hever, Leeds Castle, and take those on a worldwide stage.
Now, to a great extent, you're succeeding already. Tourist numbers are on the rise, aren't they?
Well, I think the exchange rate certainly helped us in the last few months, and obviously now the weather's turned up, finally. That's a great boost. But early and late in the season, we've still got plenty of capacity in our destinations, and tourism's a very important provider of jobs. So we want to provide all year round jobs in our destinations, and this money will really help us unlock more jobs and more economic life into our destinations.
And is it more foreign visitors you primarily want or domestic tourists?
The project is really focused at encouraging more international visitors to come to our counties, and as we're so close to London, which is a massive magnet for international visitors, that's a great opportunity. We're very accessible by road and rail, so it's not much of a leap to say come for a day trip, come for a short break out of London. But domestic visitors will also really benefit from these brand new bookable products that we're putting together for our Gardens and Gourmet offer.
Is there any thought that Kent or Essex actually can't take more tourism? I know that Sissinghurst Castle, for example, has been struggling with the weight of visitor numbers.
We've just had a stupendous bank holiday weekend, and it's been fabulous. And the summer is very busy, but we have plenty of capacity in the off-season, in spring and autumn and winter. And this money will really help us boost those shoulder seasons.
Sandra Matthews-Marsh from Visit Kent, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Characters from some of Kent's best-known tourist attractions have been parading the platforms at St Pancras Station to promote the county to visitors. Characters in costume have been meeting commuters as they arrived in the capital to deliver kisses from Kent. Well, let's take a look at the weather now. Here's Philippa Drew.
Britain saw a record number of foreign visitors in July, according to the first figures since the country voted to leave the European Union. The Office for National Statistics also said our spending abroad dropped by 1%. Visit Kent tell us tonight there's been a big boost in visitor numbers here as we enjoy that Indian summer. Visits to local attractions are up 18.8% in July alone, the biggest increase year on year since 2013. Jennifer Yard is the marketing director for Visit Kent and is on the line with me now. Hello.
Hi, Dom. How are you?
Really well. Good to have you on. So we've had a good summer then.
Yeah, it's been a cracking summer in Kent. As you said, up nearly 19% in July, and we're still confirming our August figures, but it looks like we're going to be up even more in August, so looking at around 23% increased compared to last year. So it has been wonderful. As you said, it was a bit of a late start to the summer, but July, August, and I think you're right, the September figures are going to be good as well with this fantastic weather we've been having lately.
And is it down to the weather purely?
Not purely. I mean, there's a number of different factors that contribute to things like visitor numbers to our county. Certainly, the weather has a lot to do with it. But we've also benefited from the weak pound, which has driven more inbound visitors, so particularly our friends in Europe. And Visit Kent has capitalised on this by doing a number of campaigns that sort of target them, and with a sort of a post-Brexit sort of feel to it in terms of, welcome. So we've launched our hashtag Kisses from Kent campaign, which is all about making our friends in Europe and the rest of the world feel like Kent is a great place to be, and that we really want them here.
It's funny though, isn't it? We haven't even left the European Union yet, but it feels like we have in the way everyone talks about Brexit. You know, that decision has been made by the British public, but we haven't physically severed those ties. Do you think, though, the negative impact of leaving for some in Europe has caused an issue?
I think in a sort of from a long-range perspective, it's much too soon to tell, despite the fact that it does feel like it was a little while ago now that we had the result. But tourism is very much seeing the benefits at the moment in terms of the weak pound. So that is increasing the appeal of Britain to international visitors.
Which attractions here in Kent, then, Jennifer, have had the most visits this summer?
Yeah, so some of the biggest increases that we've seen compared to last year have included attractions such as Dreamland in Margate, some of our gardens, so Penshurst Place and Gardens, Sissinghurst Castle Gardens, but also, family attractions like Port Lympne Wild Animal Park, the Spa Valley Railway and the Rare Breed Centre in Ashford. So a really good range, certainly not just coastal sort of attractions or destinations that benefit from good weather.
Now, to keep up to date with how people are doing in the business world in Kent from those attractions, you have what you call a business barometer, and you compile that every month, don't you?
That's right, yeah. So that's how we get the figures that I quoted to you earlier. So we work with all our partners across Kent and gather figures for them on a monthly basis, and that's across attractions, accommodation, as well as districts as well.
Now, one thing you have seen a decline in, so there's got to be some bad news, I guess, in all things, but is visits to our visitor information centres. It's only a fraction, isn't it, of the total number of people visiting the county each year, but each month. But nevertheless, you have seen a drop in that. And I wonder whether the truth is a lot of people these days just go online. They have a look and they see what you're doing.
I think that's absolutely right, Tom. Certainly the visits to visitor information centres we don't necessarily take that as a barometer for visits to a region, because, our audience is changing. Everything is online now. So the visitor information centres play a different role than perhaps they did previously.
Are they under threat?
I don't think so, no. I mean, they play a very important role in the community, and what they do is they offer a service that you can't get online, which is face-to-face information, more in-depth information, and that has still got, a very strong appeal for a lot of people.
But overall, people coming to Kent, enjoying the county and telling their friends about it.
Absolutely, and increasing, which is great news.
Jennifer, thanks for being with us. Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Jennifer Yard, Marketing Director for Visit Kent.
BBC Radio Kent.
Drive Time
With Dominic King.